Hi, I'm Jennifer, owner of Canopy of Stars Travel, where we specialize in connecting you and the ones you love to the beauty in God's creation, all with a touch of luxury. Recently, I was able to sit down with Hannah Westerdahl of AmaWaterways, where we were able to discuss a very special ship, the AmaMagna. The AmaMagna is the premier ship for health and wellness, as you'll see in the upcoming video. As part of this special event, Canopy of Stars is able to make an exclusive offer. For those people who would like to sail on the AmaMagna, November 17th of 2021, we have an exclusive offer where two people can sail for the price of one. Now, this is a really neat sailing because you start out with things just being fall, but by the end of the trip, all of the Christmas markets are up. So you get to see both sides of that. Again, this is a really special trip, and Canopy of Stars is the only place where you can get these exclusive savings. Now, don't delay, because to take advantage of this exclusive offer, you'll need to book with me by September 30th of 2021. You can reach me by looking in the description of the video below or going to www.canopyofstarstravel.com. For now, sit back and enjoy the video.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I am coming to you from Calabasas, California, which is the headquarters of AmaWaterways, where I'm director of key accounts. So Jennifer and I, our paths crossed, I think maybe a month ago now, or 2 months ago even, Jennifer.
Yes.
And it's been such a joy to work with you, and I'm so excited to have this opportunity to talk more about river cruising. But really, what makes river cruising so special? You hear the word cruise, and obviously you think of the big ocean ships, nothing wrong with them, with sometimes 5,000 people on board, right? And they're taking you to a country. River cruising is very different in that it's taking you through the country, and you're getting up close and personal with that destination, and everything that we bring on board is inspired by where we are that day. So it is very different than what you might think of when you first hear that word cruise. So we always want to specify it's a river cruise. Very different. Oh, we have Barbara. I'm going to admit Barbara.
Okay.
And you know, then when you get to river cruising, there's so many different suppliers, right? So why should you pick AmaWaterways? And that's what I hope to explain to you through the course of our next, 45 minutes to hour together, because Ama is a very, very special company in the travel industry. One are, how AmaWaterways was founded. We have three owners. We have Rudy Schreiner, who's known as the godfather of river cruising, Christine Karst, and Mr. Gary Murphy. And so we are still family owned and operated today. We actually own outright all of our ships, and Rudy, that first name, the godfather of river cruising, still designs all of those ships. So we call it from paper to river. Oftentimes he's inspired with a glass of wine at a bar, and he draws that design down right on his napkin. And one of the ships that we're going to be talking about in a little bit, it was exactly that process. So it is a very special company, and we know your next travel vacation, it's an investment, right? So we want you to be comfortable where you're placing that investment. So with Ama having full ownership of our ships, we have zero debt on those ships. We have 24 ships in Europe now, so it is a great company for you to consider in that aspect. But beyond that, these ships that we've talked about, yes, ships, people ask ship or boat, I don't know. We always say ship. They are really a floating boutique hotel. So on average, we have 156 people on board our ships. And what's unique about river cruising is that for the most part, all of the ships are going to be the same in terms of their size, because they have to go through the locks on the river. The locks are almost like, if you've never heard that term before, almost like an elevator on the river where you're going up or down. So they are a certain size. So for the most part, excluding the ship I'm about to talk about, they all fit within the same dimensions. What makes our ships different, though, is while we put 156 people on board, our competitors put 192 people on board. So they're taking that same size and giving you smaller staterooms or putting more people in the lounge and in the public spaces, right? So that speaks to the level of service that you're going to have and you know, the space on board. And obviously space is very important to us right now. And Rudy is a very smart man in how he designs these ships. So you see here our beautiful twin balcony stateroom, which is a standard stateroom across most of our ships. And twin balcony, what does that mean? It is as you see here in that there is that French balcony that is pretty much that sliding glass door right behind the chair, but there's nowhere to step out. It maximizes your stateroom space. You can still enjoy the incredible weather, have incredible views as you sail down the river, and then you have your private balcony. And I love this for more than one reason, because one, like I said, it enhances the space. We have to be designated within that space of the lock, as I said earlier, but this design makes sure that those balconies are indeed private, right? Because your balcony is sandwiched between two French balconies that are being pushed out. So I love this design for that. But beyond that, we have this little logo here that's the Berlitz Guide. Many of you might know the Berlitz Guide as a language guide, but they did start doing reviews of ocean ships. And about 4 or 5 years ago now, they started reviewing river cruise ships as well. So what they do is they actually secret shop all of the ships. So there's over 320 river cruise ships in Europe, and they go every single year and they visit each one. Well, the last guide that came out, so it was the guide in 2019, as there was no 2020 guide as we weren't cruising, the top 20 ships, 15 of them were an AmaWaterways ship. And they evaluate the hardware, the ship itself, and the software, right? The services that you receive, the food that's served on board, and all of the amenities that are included. So I think that just is a testament to really what you are going to experience when you come on an AmaWaterways cruise.
Really quick, if the weather was nice, could you open all of those doors and just enjoy it?
Absolutely, 100%, especially when we're cruising, you know, have a nice glass of wine or coffee if it's in the morning time, right? And just sit out there. Read a book. It's your vacation, right? It's going to be as busy or as relaxed as you want it to be. So that's a perfect place to kind of have some privacy if you don't want to be up on the sun deck.
Thank you.
And that leads perfectly to this. Ocean versus river again. We don't have sea days, SEA days. We have sea days, SEE, because you are going to be able to, in some places as you're cruising, it's going to feel like you can just reach out and, you know, high five the person as you that's on land as you cruise down the river. And that is because we dock in the heart of the town. So you see here one of our ships that's docked in Pasau, Germany. You're able to walk right off the ship. So yes, we do have included tours and things like that, and I'll talk about all of that. But more importantly, it's after dinner, we're in a port overnight, we have our onboard entertainment. But if you want to go, we're in Cologne and you want to go to that beer hall to get a Kolsch beer, go for it. Like, absolutely, we want you to, you know, experience what the locals do. So, you know, that's a huge highlight of river cruising. It takes a minute to walk off the ship from your stateroom. You scan your badge that you get on your first day that unlocks your door, and you're on your way. And it's just as easy to get back on the ship. And speaking of those included tours, we have a huge variety of tours. So when you go to our website, or when after this, when you say, Jennifer, I need to get on a cruise, and she sends you a quote and an itinerary, everything that you read in that itinerary is going to be included in an AmaWaterways cruise. So it's not just the standard city tour. You know, it's going to be all those options. It's going to be a biking option. There's going to be hiking options. That standard city tour gets broken down into gentle walkers, active walkers, regular. We have special interest tours, which really are, for the most part, tasting tours, right? We have wine tastings, chocolate tastings, pretzel bakery demonstrations. There's so much that's all included in that price that you're going to be paying.
Okay, I see biking on there. Do they have to bring their own bikes?
No, we have an entire fleet of bicycles, about 25, including a one child's bike on every single ship. If you're coming with a family and you need more children's bikes than that, just let us know. No charge or anything. We'll make sure it's there for you. And you can go on one of the guided bike tours, or if you want to explore on your own, go for it. Just take one of our bikes, you sign a waiver, and you're on your way.
Sounds wonderful.
That was actually one of my favorite. I did that in Belgrade, and I stopped for ice cream and ate ice cream along the river with my bike. I felt like a local. It was fantastic. But beyond all of that, right, that hardware, the ship itself, it's, to me, what's the AMA difference? It's the people, it's our crew, it's our cruise managers. They're going to become your family by the end of the week. You know, it's very intimate, like I said, less than 200 people on board, average 156. So by the end of the week, you're going to know, you know, your favorite waiter, you're going to know your favorite bartender, you're going to know the pastry chef, you're going to have talked to the captain, right? You're going to know all those people, and they really embrace you because, you know, they want you just to relax. They want to take care of you. It's part of their nature. So we have incredible service on board. You're going to come back from your tour, maybe, you know, she's here welcoming you for our sip and sail cocktail hour that's included every single night, where you get your favorite cocktail or beer or wine at no additional cost. And you just get to unwind and relax and reconnect in that hour before you make your way down for dinner. And I think my favorite thing in our restart, so it has been, right, I said we didn't sail in 2020. It has been quite a long process to get back to the rivers, to get back to doing what we love, which is providing, you know, memorable river cruise vacations to people like yourself. But in our restart, our tour guides, our crew, our cruise managers have really just embraced our guests. This picture, I love this picture. This was a total surprise. So seeing that picture, someone posted it on social media, on Facebook, and I had to keep it. Here you see everything that I'm talking about, the love that our crew has for the guests and that our tour guides have for our guests, and the ease of river cruising, right? So the top deck are actually our guests. So they are just having embarked the ship in Amsterdam as she makes her way down to Switzerland, to Basel. And in front of the ships, they're not on the ship itself, they're actually standing in port in Amsterdam, and they've welcomed the guests. They came with signs saying, "We missed you." These are all of our local tour guides in Amsterdam. Just, you know, we didn't know this was happening. Like I said, it was a complete surprise, and we just really felt the love. So this is really what it's all about, is this picture right here.
I thought they were on the ship. They are really close to being able to just get right on and off.
Yeah, yeah. So that's what's just so convenient about river cruising, is you're really maximizing your leisure time. If you've ever done a bus tour or something on your own, even where you go to Paris and then to London or Lyon, you know, the logistics of that takes a day away of your travel plans, getting from one city to another, because you have to unpack, you have to check out, you have to make your way to the train station. You know, there's a lot that goes into that. So with river cruising, that logistics, you know, that becomes part of the experience, and you get to sit back and relax and really maximize your leisure time, and AMA will take care of all of that. And part of your leisure time, I know, is food. You're going to Europe, you want to have some absolutely fantastic food, and you will get that on board. We have freezers for the homemade ice cream that we make. You know, we don't freeze our fish. We make our bread fresh every single morning. So everything that you're eating is going to be fresh. And if you stay back on the ship instead of joining one of our included shore excursions, you're going to see every single day that food is being delivered, because obviously the space is small. We don't want to dedicate storage space to food that's not going to be fresh for you. You know, we want to cook it fresh for you every single day. So we do that here at Ama. And we are part of the Chaîne de Rôtisseurs, which is an invite-only French gastronomy society. So it's been a couple years now. It was a huge honor for us to be invited, a part of this society. Again, it just speaks to the quality of food that you're going to be served on board. But we know if you're in Germany, you're going to want, I don't know, that pork knuckle, right? So we do have local cuisine that we serve on board. So you'll always have a dish, couple of dishes usually, that's going to be inspired by the port that we're in that day. So it might be a goulash in Hungary, embarking in Budapest, and then you have your schnitzel in Austria for lunch when you're in Vienna. That's sort of the inspiration that we get as we go. So the food that you have on board a Danube cruise, for example, is going to be very different than the food that you have on board a Bordeaux river cruise. But in all of that, sorry, what was that, Jennifer?
It looks amazing.
I miss it so much. I haven't been back on board this year yet. I go in October, but I'm so excited. And one of my favorite night every single night is actually when we are able to participate in our chef's table restaurant. This is on board all of our ships in Europe and the ship on the Mekong. It's not available though in Portugal, just because those are significantly smaller ships. But the chef's table restaurant, what is it? It's a specialty dining restaurant, again, entirely included in the price of your cruise, where it is a 6-course tasting that the chef, as you see here, is plating and preparing everything in front of you. So it's very small courses, and there's wine paired with every single course. There's sorbet served in between to clear your palate. So it really is an incredible experience. In this way, it becomes an experience. So I know, I mean, if you didn't love cooking before, most likely in the pandemic, you've probably grown to love it, right? Because it was something to do. I think what was sourdough is one of the most Googled things throughout the pandemic, right? People learning to make bread and stuff. So I love this because it's, you know, you get to see the chef and everyone plating everything. And I think back to all those HGTV shows and my love of all the cooking programs, and it's bringing it to life. And I remember my first cruise that I did, I sat at a table with a couple from Ireland, and they were recently retired, but they owned and lived above their own bread shop. And so I was able to enjoy this experience with their, you know, professional comments and everything, having, you know, owned their own bakery in Ireland. And it was just extremely memorable, extremely memorable. But once you eat, right, what are you going to do? Get to have some wellness.
Oh, I was going to say sleep.
Yes, sleep. Yes, sleep. But wellness is a pillar of what we stand for in AmaWaterways. We know when you travel, your journey and your wellness journey doesn't necessarily go on vacation. You're bringing that with you. You have your own routines that you want to maintain. Prior to welcoming everybody into this, Jennifer was just talking about how she, you know, had a nice run today. So we all have our own routines, and that's possible on our ships. You see here one of our owners that I talked about. We have 3 owners. One of them is Christine Karst. You see her right here. This was one of her passions because she spent so much time on board our ships. She felt like something was missing, and that was this wellness aspect. So we already have it with our extremely fresh food. We can accommodate almost every dietary restrictions. Kosher is the only one that we can't because we don't have a dedicated cooking station for kosher, but any type of allergy, no matter how extreme, we can absolutely accommodate that. But we know wellness is so much more than just an exercise class or stretching, right? There's a lot of things that go into that. So that's why we have a dedicated wellness host on board our ships. They're not there to sell you a protein powder or a lotion. They're not there to also be your masseuse, which we do have a spa on board our ships if you do need a masseuse, so don't worry. But they're there for you. So you can schedule one-on-one time with them if you're looking to speak about nutrition, or you want a private session in our gym that we have on board. You can absolutely schedule that with them. No additional cost. They're purely there for you. I've participated in really intense core workouts, but I've also done champagne yoga. and Zumba classes.
Okay, what is champagne yoga?
It's just imagine, this is my water bottle. Imagine there's champagne in it and you get to do various yoga things. It was extremely strenuous, but a lot of fun. Very relaxing. But this wellness program, it's an example of all of the innovations that we've had over the years with AmaWaterways. Company was founded in 2002. So this summer we celebrated 19 years on the rivers. And, you know, we have had several pillars within the travel industry, and all these firsts that I've listed here, I've already talked about a few of them: the Chaîne de Rôtisseurs, the chef's table that is unique to AmaWaterways. Other cruise lines that have a specialty tasting menu do charge you for that. The wellness program, I'm going to speak about the AmaMagna in a moment, but all of that just speaks to our Ama first, or our Ama innovations. And these aren't first just for us, AmaWaterways. These are first river cruise travel industry first. So it is such an honor to work for this company and to keep innovating and learning and growing. And we do that through our travel partners. We get all of our feedback from our partners and from our guests. So when you come on board, we want to know what you liked, but more importantly, what you didn't like and what you felt was missing, so we can serve you better the next time you join us. But
okay, before you go to the next slide,
yeah.
Maureen wanted to know, on what ship are you sailing in October?
I am sailing on the AmaBella.
Okay.
And I am going from Budapest, and we'll talk about Budapest in a little bit, down to Giurgiu, Romania, where we have Transylvania post-cruise extensions and Istanbul post-cruise extensions. So that's what I'm doing October 31st, and I'm so excited.
It sounds wonderful. Thank you very much for the question and the answer.
You are welcome. But one of the craziest firsts is this AmaMagna ship. And I know, Jennifer, this ship really resonated with you because there are more aspects to wellness in this ship and more amenities than what our other ships offer. And part of that, why is that, is because she's double wide. So I'm going to go back to the last slide. This is the AmaMagna in the forefront of the picture. It's not the angle that makes her look so much bigger. It's the fact that she is twice the width of the ship next to her.
Wow.
And how is that possible? The Danube River is the only river in Europe that has large locks to accommodate her. So she will always live on the Danube and do itineraries that we're going to talk about momentarily, or like the one I just said that I'm doing in October. And in 2019, the AmaMagna was actually named one of the world's greatest places by Time magazine. So it was an incredible honor for us. But what did we do with that extra space? Did we put twice as many people on board? Absolutely not. There are more staterooms, there are more people. There's 196 people. So again, our competitors on our standard size ship that's half the size will have 192. And we have 196 on the AmaMagna. So you're getting almost twice the space. Bigger staterooms, like I said, more amenities. And some of those amenities include more restaurants. We have 4 restaurants on board the AmaMagna. You have your main restaurant that's gonna, follow all of our other ships. The chef's table restaurant, of course, we can't do away with that. And then we've added the alfresco restaurant, which is that one on the top in blue. And she's at the front of the ship, and all those windows open up, including the one on the roof, and create this nice breezy atmosphere. And this is really inspired by sort of like a farm to table aspect, where it's not, there is meat, but it's not super meat heavy. It's more about the produce and the local and seasonal items. So the menu does change based on the season. And then you have Jimmy's, and Jimmy's is really fun. That is named after one of our founders who passed away a few years ago, Mr. Jimmy Murphy. And it is served family style. So if you have a group of people that you're traveling with, if you met people on board that you just really connect with, you can all dine here, and everything is family style. So it's a lot of fun. That's my personal favorite.
Do you have to make reservations at these?
You do not. The chef's table, you do, because it's very limited in seating. Everyone gets to go once during their cruise, but that restaurant reservation you make on board. But Jimmy's, you just walk in, same with the alfresco. And the alfresco menu is, and the chef's table restaurant, they are set. So if you go on the first night, it's going to be the same as the last night, because again, we want to make sure everyone experiences it and you don't feel pressure to go back every single night. The menu in Jimmy's and the main restaurant does of course change every single day. We have some staple items, you know, Americans, us, we always want a burger or a steak or chicken, you know, that's always going to be available, but then there are the rotated dinner items as well. So, and you have to order the potatoes. They're like French fries. They are so good. So good. So make sure you order those. Insider tip, okay? They're not featured on the menu, but they're available.
Right. Potatoes, check.
Potatoes. What was your question?
I was going to ask what your favorite thing was, but then you mentioned the potatoes.
Oh, the potatoes. Yeah, yeah. And oddly enough, actually the soup. I really love soup, even if it's 100 degrees outside. So the soups on board are fantastic.
Okay.
And then of course we have our Zen Wellness Studio. Every ship, like I said, there's going to be a spa. The Zen Wellness Studio is where we have all of our fresh juice every day, our detox water. There's a dedicated seating area that's different than the lounges, right? So a bit more privacy with a fantastic view at the back of the ship. But there's actually 2 spas on board. Not spas, massage rooms on board, a hair salon and a nail salon as well. So maybe one of those cruising afternoons, instead of sitting on the sun deck and watching the sights go by, you really want to treat yourself. Or that day after the long flight, you'd rather sit back and relax and stay on board the ship and go and explore. You're absolutely welcome to. You can treat yourself. These items that I just mentioned are not, well, the juice is included and the water is included, but the massage is not included. So it's very, I mean, I think I spent 45 euros for a half an hour massage, which to me is pretty, you know, I'm from California, that's pretty normal. And then gratuities and things like that you just pay at the end of the cruise. So it's not an exorbitant price for any of these items. It's pretty normal. And then we have our spinning with a view with the AmaMagna. So this is unique to the AmaMagna. You have our bikes at the back of the ship. So some people did comment when we first introduced them that you're spinning and trying to spin away from the direction that the ship is sailing. So it's a weird mental adjustment you have to make, but it is a lot of fun, of course. And you're not going to get that anywhere else. But this ship is even more different in that our average stateroom is 355 square feet. So that is the size of a suite on our other ships. So this is not an all suite ship, but about 58% of our cabins are this size or larger. We have one suite that's 710 square feet. I know that's bigger than some people's apartments. So lots of space for you. Even the standard stateroom is, you know, bigger than some staterooms on our other ships. And this ship, like I said, we talked about Budapest a little bit. This ship is dedicated to the Danube River due to the size of those locks. So she will always start or end in Budapest. So I want to talk a little bit about Budapest. It is an incredible city. I know, Jennifer, you said your son was recently there, correct?
Yeah, Harris went a couple years ago and said this is the favorite place he has ever been.
It is. I didn't know what to expect my first time there, but it is so special. It's kind of, you know, you have the Austrian Empire, but it's like a clash of cultures almost in Budapest, and that's represented even in the geography. It's 2 cities. It's Buda and Pest or Pest. right? So it's actually two cities that have been combined into one that we now know as Budapest. And we're looking right now at the Pest side with the Parliament building. This picture was taken from the Buda side, which is the hilly side. So you have a very flat part with Pest, and then the other side, it's these huge hills. So even just from the geography alone, you see kind of cultures flashing from one side of the Danube to the other.
It's beautiful.
And it's so special, and you see this city lit up at night, and all the buildings along the river will do this. So your first night, when you start in Budapest, your first night, we do have a mini illuminations cruise where you get to see the city all lit up. We'll serve a little glass of liqueur, a nice little treat for you to warm you up if you're on the sun deck, a local favorite, and then make your way for the rest of your 7-night cruise. And that 7-night cruise from Budapest, what we really wanted to focus on was the upper Danube. So I told you where I'm going in October. The upper Danube, which features Budapest, Bratislava, Vienna. You could do a Munich post-cruise package. You get Salzburg, you can have Prague. That's, if you've never river cruised before, that's a huge natural interest because all of those big capitals, right? So we're going to talk a little bit about the itinerary itself as you make your way for the 7-night cruise from Budapest to Wilsdorf in Germany. And when you embark the ship, if you did your 2 nights pre-cruise Budapest, your cruise manager joins you for that pre-cruise package. You get a tour of Budapest. It's going to be different than what you get on the ship. And then they take you and travel with you then on that cruise. So again, that's something different about AMA, is that the cruise manager that joins you for the cruise does join you for that pre and post cruise package as well. And we have our nice welcome aboard ceremony where you're greeted nicely after you've unpacked on the ship. And
okay, I've heard that the captain actually comes out. Does he really greet every person?
Yes, he really greets every person. And in this picture, that's actually Captain Jan. He is been with AMA since we started. And every time we introduce a new ship, he's the captain on board. So he has his own following of people that just love cruising with him. So they will always go to the newest ship because they know Captain Jan's going to be on there. So yes, they do greet you, and we have a captain's table. And I think what's really nice for our solo travelers, we do really embrace our solo travelers. If you're not traveling with, your partner or family or friends, right? You're just traveling on your own. The first night on board the ship, the captain will actually invite you to join him at his table to meet other solo travelers. And then throughout the cruise, we have open dining that is something different this year. So not this year, but in the future, we'll go back to our open dining, and our tables, we do have some set 4-person tables, but our other tables are all odd numbered. That's by design, again, to embrace our solo travelers.
That's very nice.
Yep. We don't want anyone to feel excluded. So that is one reason why we do that. And then you're going to carry on. You have morning in Budapest if you're doing cruise only. That does include those city tour. There's a hiking tour, and there's actually a tasting tour as well. And then we're going to cruise out of Budapest for a lovely afternoon on the sun deck or in your private balcony, or like I said, maybe getting that massage, and make our way to Bratislava. And Bratislava, capital of Slovakia, much smaller, so neighboring countries, but so much smaller than Budapest. And that's what I love about river cruising, is when you join us on a cruise, yes, you're going to get some big capitals. Maybe it's Amsterdam, maybe it's Budapest, but you are going to see lots of towns in between that maybe you wouldn't have gone to otherwise. So Bratislava, I think, is one of those. And here we have a hiking tour. We do a yogurt making demonstration. We have our regular city tour. My first cruise I did, I actually invited my mom, and she had hurt her foot about 2 weeks before the cruise. And so she was in this huge ankle boot. And, we had to get the wheelchair and everything for the airplane. And she was so nervous about it because she thought, well, I don't want to go all the way to Europe and not see Europe. But again, going back to our gentle walkers, right? Wellness, no matter where you're at, we have something for everybody. So for her, we had the gentle walker option. I joined her on some, didn't join on every single one because I wanted to do the biking and the hiking. But in Bratislava, it was a lot of fun. She just loved it because she was on this little trolley. So she got to see all the same things that I did, but it was, she felt like a queen. And every time she passed me, because Bratislava is actually a really small old town, she was just waving and just like having a grand old time every time she passed me and I was walking. So I really felt like a chump that day and knew I should have done the gentle walker. But again, it just shows you the variety of options that we have. And because we have so many different tour options and break them down into so many different groups, the group that you're going with on your tour, it's not going to be 25 people. They're really small groups, on average 10 to 15 people. I think the largest group I ever had was 20, whereas some of those other lines that do include one city tour, they're breaking everyone up into maybe 4 different groups. So your tour groups are going to be huge. And you feel that when you're in the destination, because maybe you do see another tour group go by from a different company and you see how large it is, and then you just feel very special, because we want you to have one-on-one attention with your tour guides as they are talking about their hometowns, right, where they live. So they have that personal knowledge, and we want them to give that to you and pass that down to you. And then
it's beautiful. I am curious.
Go ahead.
What was pulling the trolley that your mom was in?
It was a little train almost. When
okay.
you're small at Christmas time and you have those little, the kids sit in, the little trains that drive around the mall that, it was kind of like that, but for adults. So she loved it. And then from Bratislava, we make our way to Vienna, Austria. So Vienna, really such a special city. Maybe you've been there before, maybe you haven't, but it is a huge cultural center for art, for music, for food, right there, right where the ship is going to be parked. So we do 2 nights in Vienna, depending on the direction that you're going. The first night, you usually get there pretty late at night. If you want to, once we've made our way to the port and the ship has stopped, you can absolutely go on your own to experience some of the nightlife in Vienna. But we do have on the Danube, there's actually 2 tours that aren't included. If you're on the AmaMagna, one of those tours is included, but the one tour that you're probably going to want to do that's not included, so we don't market it, it's not included in our brochures, is our Strauss and Mozart concert. So that, again, you have to confirm that you do in fact want that, and then we get you a ticket and take you there, and that's going to be in the evening in Vienna. An extremely special night. But before that, you're going to have a city tour. There is a biking tour that goes through the center of the city, so that's the one. If you don't bike, I would say avoid that one because you're going through the center of a city, right? Otherwise, all the other bike tours tend to take you outside of the city a little bit more. And then we'll have wine tasting as well. And after Vienna being a huge capital, even bigger than Budapest, we're going to go to this quaint little town in the Wachau Valley. And if you've never heard of the Wachau Valley, listen up, because it is a growing wine region. It is sort of the Napa Valley of Europe. So it is a place many Europeans will go to have their own little trips, celebrate anniversaries or bridal showers, whatever it may be. So it is a very big destination for Europeans. And on a river cruise, you get to experience that. And one thing I didn't mention is every night with your included, with your dinner and lunch, we offer wine that's included in beer, and the wine does rotate based on where we are traveling through. So starting in Budapest, we do have a red and white. You probably want the red, the Hungarian red, but then as you make your way to Austria, you're going to get to taste at dinner some of these wines, as well as on our shore excursions, we have wine tasting. So that's one of the things you could do here in Dürnstein. The city, I think there's only a couple hundred people that live here. Maybe 200 people actually live here full time. It's very, very, very small city, and it's known for apricot production. So that is their #1 export here. But we will do some wine tasting and some apricot tasting. We also have this fortress hike where you hike up to the ruins, and then some biking. And I love this picture here. You know, I have obviously get to work with our owner, so they're all they've become like mentors to me. And this picture here is actually of one of our owners, Gary Murphy, and his family, his 2 daughters and his wife. So if you recall, one of the restaurants, Jimmy, that was named after his father, who's since passed. And then it is sweet. And it was the first time he got to eat there. It was a very emotional experience, you know, and they're Irish. So that's why the green, the green, emerald green booths. Then we make our way from Dürnstein to Melk. And you can do that on the ship, or you could do that on the bike. So you actually bike away from the ship in Dürnstein, and then you will rejoin the ship in Melk at the next port. I think it's about 26 miles. If you're a biker, I don't know, that's probably nothing. I'm not a biker, so to me, that's a little more of a commitment, but I have done it and it was a lot of fun. And then in Melk, you get to go to Melk Abbey. And this is still a working order abbey today. So there's students, there's nuns. So it is a lot of fun. There's a dedicated museum that we visit. And then of course, this incredible library here. And the views from Melk are also fantastic because it's at the very top of this mountain. So it is a bit of a drive from the ship because we have to get to the top, but you overlook and you get to point down and see the ship and see how the river meanders, you know, through the valley, and it's so impressive. And then we make our way to Linz. So after Melk, you return, you have dinner, and then we go to Linz, Austria. And there are a lot of options from Linz. One, you can stay in Linz. Why would you be interested in staying in Linz? There is a lot of history in Linz. Of course, you know, visiting Europe, a lot of things that you talk about are going to be the World War I, World War II. So Linz would have been, you know, the capital of the Third Reich, right? That is what Hitler wanted it to be. So that's what gets talked a lot about there, as well as the growing media arts. So it's a very young city in terms of their art influence. So it's, you know, they have a lot of huge plans, and Austria really named it one of the new capitals of art outside of Vienna, of course. And then we have a bike tour, but beyond that, we do have 2 full-day options that are a bit of a drive, again, because the cities we're going to are not right on the river. The first option is Cesky Krumlov in the Czech Republic. I know you've probably never heard of this name before, so maybe you don't do this one, but it is an incredible city. It's in the mountains of the Czech Republic, and it was almost entirely forgotten about during World War II, so it's very untouched. And it doesn't feel, it feels almost more, the architecture feels almost more like Italy than it does Prague or other areas in the Czech Republic. But I love this picture. This just shows you the memories that are waiting for us to travel again. You know, I obviously love travel. I love the company I work for. It allows me to travel, right? But there's so many special moments that we have yet to share and have with each other and with our families and with people we haven't even met. And that's what brings me such joy in doing what I do, because I get to talk about river cruising and hopefully invite you all to join us soon for a cruise and have memories like this, maybe with your family, or like I said, that new friend that you met at dinner maybe. Most people, though, I think gravitate towards Salzburg. And this picture here of the gardens leading up to the castle is of the gardens that are featured in The Sound of Music. So on your way from the ship, and I'm sorry, I'm working from home. I hear my dog in the background. If you hear that noise, that's my dog. On your way from the ship, we stop in a city called Muncie, and that is where the wedding scene of The Sound of Music was filmed. So that incredible cathedral and the pipe organ, you get to visit all of that. And then we go to Salzburg. So Salzburg is birthplace of Mozart. So you can do that full city tour and make your way up to this fortress. I actually took free time that day. I went, like I said, that first cruise, I took my mom and she wanted to see Salzburg. So we kind of just did quick highlights and then just had free time. We got lunch together, went on our own, and it was incredible. So Salzburg is a very special place if you've never been. But again, maybe you have been on a different tour, then we have other options through Linz or through Cesky Krumlov. Have you been to Salzburg, Jennifer?
I have not, but I am singing all the Sound of Music, like while they were walking around the fountain. I can hear it in my head.
Yes, exactly. You know exactly what image, it comes to mind so clear. And from Salzburg, we make our way to Pasau. And Pasau is actually where 3 rivers meet. So I recommend the hiking tour on this. And the hiking tour that we do is nothing super strenuous. If you're nervous about it, definitely talk to the cruise manager at the beginning of the cruise, and they will let you know what hike option is the best and maybe the least strenuous. But I personally love this one because we'll hike up to this little fortress up here, and you have this incredible view of the rivers coming together. And it really does look like that, these 2 different blues. That's not, photoshopped or anything like that. You do see the rivers converge and the different colors coming together. And then of course we have a biking option, and then that city tour where we visit a cathedral. You get to see this huge, massive pipe organ. So I haven't seen that yet because I've done the hiking every single time, but hopefully one day. And from Pasau, all good things have to come to an end. So unfortunately, your cruise does end. And the last night, we have an exclusive Oktoberfest celebration that we do. So we have a beer tent that we set up. We have the beer wench that comes and an Papa band that comes. And actually the mayor often comes to these celebrations. We have a very special relationship with Wilshofen, probably a town. You read it, you don't even know how to say it. Is it Wilshofen? Is it Wilshofen? What is it? But we love this town, and it's where we actually christen a lot of our ships. So it's just this little city. A lot of our tour guides actually live in this city, and you'll have about 3 hours of free time in this town. Go and explore. Get off the ship. You can pack later that night. Don't worry about packing your bags yet. Get off the ship, walk around and explore. This town, Wilshofen, is actually where they used to have a lot of beer and create a lot of beer. So the Czech Pilsner beer that maybe some of you like to drink, the man that created that is actually from this town. So some tours that you can do just on your own, walking around, are of the tunnels underneath the town where they used to store a lot of the beer, right? Because it's so much cooler down there. So it's just a little fun thing you can do on your own. And then, like I said, it does have to come to an end. If you're extending, you can extend with us and do 3 nights in Prague. We do have a Munich package as well. Most people do tend to gravitate towards Prague for the 3 nights, though, in the Czech Republic. And of course, you can see such things as the astronomical clock. We have a Czech beer tasting, which now you know that he's actually from Wilshofen, Germany, and explore on your own as well. And the cruise manager will stay with you through all of that again. So I hope some of you are, after watching this, itching to go. If you do want to go, whether you've joined us live or maybe you're listening to the recording, we have an exclusive offer, bookable only with Canopy of Stars Travel, and that is for a 2-for-1 savings. So essentially 50% off one of our cruises this year. Yes, we are cruising this year, and that's for Magna on the Danube, the itinerary we just spoke about, Budapest to Wilshofen, November 17th. And this week is a fun week because that's when the normal season turns into Christmas market season. So at the start of the week, you're not going to have these Christmas markets out, but by the end of the week, you will be able to visit some early Christmas markets, and you kind of see the season change right before your eyes and get to be a part of that. So it's a special week. But beyond that, if maybe you're not interested in this cruise or going this year, you're just looking for something for next year or the year after, we do have 23 open our entire season. So Europe, Asia, and Africa. And so we will offer on top of our retail an additional 100 per person, 200 per stateroom savings. And both those offers must be booked by September 30th, so by the end of this month. And I can't believe we're in September already, but here we are. And I hope very much that you join us on one of our cruises, like I said, this year or in the future. I'm not sure if we have more questions, but we will open it up now.
Well, you guys are welcome to type your questions in the chat, but I was going to ask, tell us some about the Christmas markets, because I've kind of heard about that. When you go to the Christmas markets, does it become about the Christmas market, or are you still there for the locations?
It becomes both, really. Whatever season you do a river cruise, like for the Danube, it's going to feel very different and special to that season. And it is absolutely no different during the Christmas market season. Yes, it's going to be colder, so come prepared for that. But to me, it's actually the warmest cruise because of how it makes me feel. So you do get all those city tours that I just talked about, but on top of that, you will get to visit the markets. And the markets, that have existed for hundreds of years, they're not for me, they're not for you, they're for the locals. And that's what makes it truly special, is you get to see coworkers coming together after work. You get to see a family outing, right? Little kids drinking their hot cocoa. It's a reunion of people coming together. And that's really what makes these markets so special, is that engagement and that authenticity that you get, right? It's not for all of the little treats. Of course, buy your souvenirs, buy your Christmas gifts. I always line my suitcase with bubble wrap so that I can pack anything that I might purchase along the way. But that's what's really so special. So, I talked about Budapest at the beginning. One of the huge markets in Budapest is in front of the cathedral there. And every hour on the hour, they do a light show against the cathedral. Wow. So it's a huge experience. And these towns just decorate in a way that I've not seen replicated here. Maybe New York Times Square. Maybe that could compare to some of the stuff that happens in Europe. Vienna, for example, in their old town, every street is dedicated with a different theme. So it could be big bulbs, it could be chandeliers, it could be angels. There's different themes that street in the old town takes on. So it just becomes a totally different environment that honestly it's like walking into Winter Wonderland. And we bring that on the ship too. The ship transforms almost overnight from kind of our standard ship to these huge decorations. We have like pallets and pallets of decorations that we store on board every ship to make it special for our guests that are joining us for this season.
Wow. What is one of your favorite tours that you've been on?
Danube was my first. I've done it 4 times since. So for me, it's very special. The Rhone River is really incredible in France. That's from Lyon to Arles or Avignon. And that area, just the food is incredible. We do a truffle farm visit. The wine, fantastic, right? It's France. So I love that one. And then my next favorite, though, would be the Mekong River, visiting Vietnam and Cambodia. As fantastic as our cruises are in Europe, there's just something more personal about that with, the recent history and things that have happened in these countries. And the crew having lived through a lot of these things, their parents through the genocide and all of that, it becomes a much different and grander experience. Of course, it's an incredible vacation, but you feel they embrace you in such a way that you just want to come back time and time again.
I think that's all the questions. We didn't have any come up in chat. But before you leave, to everybody who came and visited and hung out with Hannah and I just really want to say thank you so much for your time and your support in this small business of mine. If you decide you do want to go, I would love to help you. I also want to say thank you so much to Hannah for the time that she's put in with me. As you can see, I hope there's a reason why I chose to spotlight AmaWaterways. I'm so impressed with their product. I was really impressed with their commitment to health and wellness. And so I just wanted to say thank you so much for that also, Hannah.
Oh, well, thank you. I really appreciate that. And like I said, I've loved working with you, and I know we have a bright future ahead. And I hope to welcome all of you soon.
Thanks, guys, for coming tonight. I appreciate it. Did you learn something new about river cruising? If you did, drop it in the comments. I'd love to know what you learned. If this has inspired you and you'd like to take advantage of those exclusive savings for the November 17th, 2021 sailing of the AmaMagna on the Danube, please reach out to me. I would love to help. I wish you well. I wish you safe and happy travels, and I can't wait to see you under a canopy of stars.